Hello, beautiful people. My name is Nnaishi, and welcome to the first ever video podcast for the Grounded and Fearless podcast, the podcast that is just for you. On today's episode, we have a very special one for you with our very beautiful and wonderful guest, Joy Makua, who is a DHL Top 100 graduate, University of Pretoria alumni. And Joy, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Nnaishi.
How are you feeling today?
I'm very excited. I hope we have a very productive conversation. I can't wait to see what you have in store for us.
Yeah, I'm also excited. When I was scripting the episode, I don't know, getting goosebumps because I think the conversations that I had in mind for this episode will be very helpful for the viewers, for myself as well, seeing that I relate to some of the questions as well. Yeah. So, before we start, I usually want to have icebreaker moments with the easy game to play. So the game is basically you either choose to give us a letter or a category, and then we see who can list the most words in that specific category or letter.
Okay.
So I don't know which one you want to go with.
Okay, I can start with category.
Okay.
So I think let's do cars. Do I also choose the letter or you choose?
I'll choose the letter.
Okay.
Cars.
Why did I choose cars? My goodness.
I don't know. Okay, maybe I don't think. Let's just say there's no category. We just gonna do cars, and you can list the most cars.
But that's gonna be a lot. Maybe let's limit it to like a letter. What do you think?
A letter. I can't even think of a letter that has cars now. For every letter, I only have one car. That's the thing. B.
Okay. Do I go first?
Yeah.
Okay. BMW.
Bentley. So
Bugatti.
Brabus.
That was my next one.
Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, no, I'm out. Yeah, is there anything else?
I think I need to find one word so I can actually win the game because now it's going to be a tie.
Yeah, because now it's obviously decider.
B. You said Bugatti.
Bentley.
BMW.
Oh, BMW, sorry. B.
Yeah, no. It's when I'm put on the spot, I go blank.
Yeah.
But outside of behind the camera, I probably know like a lot of cars. So this is
sure.
not a true representation.
So it's tied.
Yeah, it's
Love
tied.
it.
It's tied. I'll give you that one. You know, I haven't won that game since.
Really?
I know. All my guests always come here and I don't know. It's like they prepare beforehand, and I'm the one who's scripting all these things. But anyway, so TUKS alumni, DHL top 100 graduate. First question is like, how's life after varsity been? Like, what experience have you had that has kind of impacted you in the most way, whether it be positive, negative, that you didn't expect, basically?
Yeah, I think life after university has been very interesting. It's a matter of understanding that there's so many more responsibilities in whatever space you get into. This current space that I'm in, it's almost as if I had responsibilities in varsity, but now there are even bigger responsibilities. Now I'm officially working, officially employed. And I think the one thing that I've really been struggling to manage is feeling like I don't have time. Because it's this notion of like, in varsity you had time for your friends, your social life, academics, you could kind of work around it. But now when you enter the professional space, it's like, my goodness, I need to make time for friends and family. And sometimes you feel like the only day you actually have for everyone is like the Saturday. And then now how do you distribute your time equally for everyone? So that's one of the things that I'm really struggling with.
Yeah, that is actually something that I never thought about. Because if I think about it, in varsity, you and your friends are more or less in the same space. So you kind of see them from time to time.
Regularly, yeah.
And then in the workspace, it's rare that you guys work for the same company, same department, and all of that. Oh, interesting. So I guess time management is a lifelong skill. It's not just...
No, it is. It really
it's not just we can balance studying, having fun, having a social life, doing extramural activities and all those things. Interesting. So you mentioned employment and having a career. So my question is, having gone to varsity and everything, do you have a career in what you studied?
Yes, I think I'm one of the lucky people who are able to identify what I actually enjoy doing from the get-go,
Yeah.
and like see it through even into my career. So I did town and regional planning at the University of Pretoria, and currently I'm working for a town and regional planning company. So I'm literally doing what I studied for. And I mean, obviously, there's the way things are taught in varsity and the way things are done in the professional world. So I'm still learning every single day, but I'm definitely doing what I studied and what I was expecting to do.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Town and regional planning. Like,
yes.
If I'm trying to understand that, do you plan where they want to construct the next buildings and stuff and streets? I'm supposed to know this because I used to do geography, but
yeah,
that was so long ago.
It's town planning is one of those things where it's like like a Trojan horse, where like you look at it and you think it's just this simple thing of like planning towns and stuff, but then it's actually more intricate. There's like a aspect of it of like policy. So like for us to actually have a country that's governed and that's functioning, like spatially have some policies to talk about where you put certain roads or where certain things happen. So there's like a very legislative part of it, like the theory part, like laws, policy, etc. Then the more technical of like transport planning, environmental management, social development. It's just quite broad. So that's why everybody has to choose what they'd want to specialize in. I could do human settlements if I want. That means I would be dealing with like housing and the laws regarding housing, or I could look into the local economic development part of it. So it's very broad, but a lot of different components.
It sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't just say I want to do town planning.
Oh no. Like, you don't just put buildings here and say no. It's way more intricate.
Oh, interesting. Oh. And then you mentioned that from what you are taught in varsity and what you actually do in the actual workspace. I know for me as well, like when we do theory in the lecture hall and then having to put it into practice and doing certain procedures is not really the same thing. I mean, they can explain how to do a specific surgery, but then, anatomy, like not all dogs are going to have veins that look like they are in the textbooks. Would you say that shift was something major that you had to overcome, or it's just something you saw but then you were able to?
I think it's also a matter of like how do you deal with circumstances, right? So with me, I'm someone who loves change and I believe in being a lifelong student. So I've already programmed my mind to know that I might not know something where I'm going, but I must be open enough to actually want to learn, because I can't go into a space and say I'm pompous, like I was a top student so I know this. It's like no, clearly things are being done differently. So how do I actually like learn and actually find myself learning more about what I'm supposed to be doing? And I think also with me, the one thing that I realized is that with planning, we have such a people focus, but when you're in the lecture room, obviously you're not actually seeing the people that you're planning for. But when you're actually in practice and you see that, oh my goodness, like what I'm actually doing can actually impact someone's life for real, it becomes a little bit more personal to be like, okay, I need to be intentional with this. I need to actually like be willing to learn.
Oh yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So it's like from like being humble to know that you don't know everything.
Yes.
Yeah, like
starts there.
Starts there.
A lot of things start there.
Especially if, as you're saying, being a top student and having the mindset that I got distinctions all the way through. I know my stuff.
Then you realize that I'm allowed to learn.
It's not that easy. Yeah, that's true. Be humble, guys.
Yeah.
Highlight of the day. And then with the whole varsity experience, what would you say was that piece of advice that you wish you had received then that you see now that would have been of value?
I think to sum it all up, I'd say it's just being told that everything will be okay.
Yeah.
Like everything will work out. Because I realized that when you're in varsity, it's like such a bubble whereby your life seems so orientated around like academics and like wanting to do well and stuff, and it's very easy to get into like a mindset of like either being anxious or depressed and stuff. So just knowing that, you know what, this is going to build your character, this is going to build perseverance, like just keep going, it's going to be okay. Because even now sometimes I look back and I'm like, my goodness, like second year it was a tough time. But
You were
like
going
now,
through
yeah,
it.
you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, like I was intentional, and like also how you react to certain things is very important, because if you're facing this difficult circumstance, like, are you gonna run or
Yeah.
cry about it? Or you're gonna be like, you know what? I'm going through this, but there must be a meaning for why this is happening, and what lesson am I taking from this thing? So I think being told in a very loving way that
Yeah.
things are gonna be okay. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's like remember the reason why you're starting.
Yes.
And remember where you're going and where you're
Yes.
coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very powerful. And I relate to that a lot. I think for me it was a thing of being I feel like I've been studying forever. So this degree is so long, doesn't want to end. Like I think all my friends have graduated and I'm still studying.
Yeah.
But sometimes you forget how far you've come.
Yeah.
I remember the other day one of my lecturers was saying she was lecturing one of the lower years in our faculty, and they didn't know what was going on because like she went from us and then she went to lecture them, so we knew like the basic stuff that they were teaching them. And then she's like, when I saw that, it reminded me of how far you guys have come.
Yes.
That in the beginning everything was just, I don't know, like you don't even know what's going on. It's just like mind blown, information overload, but there's actually progress, and you learn to appreciate that, you know what, it's a journey and you've come so far. So I
what
like
you're
that.
saying is very true, because I think what also happens is when you're in a tough situation, it becomes very easy to forget all the stuff you've actually accomplished and fixate on like what is currently happening. But if you take a step back and say, okay, yes, this is where I'm at, but like, oof, the things I've also like been able to achieve and my accomplishments, like those don't just disappear. They're still there. So yeah,
that's powerful. I think it reminds me of I don't know whose quote this is, so
don't quote him.
yeah, I'm not gonna quote, but I always had this thing that if you didn't have what it takes to pull through, you wouldn't be in that situation.
Yeah.
So like whenever if you're in second year, as you're saying, was rough. If you didn't have the potential and what it takes to go through second year, you wouldn't be in that place at that current time. So I think for me that's something that I think we should keep in mind.
Yeah.
That's my nuggets of wisdom that you guys can take home with you. And then being a DHL top 100 graduate, take us through that. How was the experience? Application process, like, is that something that you always knew about and you wanted to be a part of? Like,
okay, so the DHL awards, I remember I applied, I think it was 2021. So it's a process. How it goes is like you download the app and like you put in all your information, like your academics, your average, you know, what you're studying, like basically your CV, right? And then once you are accepted, then you go through a process of like, for lack of a better word, I'd say like psychometric tests, like testing all these things about yourself, personal development. You write a very thorough, like, it's a process, you know, builds character. It's a process. And then there's like a video part where now you need to like say why you should be part of this program and stuff. And remember, it's like, I think over 8,000 applications, I think even more around the country. Then they narrowed down like 500 to only top 100 students in the country. So 2021, I was on top of my game. And I was like, I'm going to do this, you know? And then when they were announcing, because they have this thing of like announcing where certain people, whether people from AppStar or Faskin, whatever, they come in and they announce the top 100. So I'm sitting there anticipating. I'm like, they're going to call my name. I'm excited. Then they got to name number 99 and I said, okay, maybe I'm number 100. And then 100 was called and then I didn't make it. This is 2021. I'm not gonna lie, Shay, my heart was shattered. My heart was really, I was like, oh my goodness, like, wow.
Must have been rough.
You know, when you planned to go, I'm gonna wear this, like, I'm ready.
You had the whole process in mind.
And my friend at the time, her boyfriend had made it, and it was like, I thought all of us would be going, like, you know, you're already planning these things
as a squad.
Yeah,
like
you're planning
squad
for
goals.
You know, you're planning for the success. And then I was like, oh my goodness, like, I didn't make it. Am I a failure? No, I'm not. You know, and I'm like, you know what, it's fine. Next year, I'm gonna try again. Next year being 2022. And I did it last year, 2022. And ding, I made it. Yeah. And when I made it, I went through the whole process. I was able to make it to the top 100. So we were taken to this hotel in Joburg. So it's just like they take the top 100 students and connect them to the best employers in the country, and like they try and nurture like your potential, and they give you workshops. Like I think it's a very incredible program just to like invest in really strong young people who actually have potential to change the world, if I can put it that way. So yeah, I went through all of that. It was so nice being around really like-minded young people. You'd be surprised. Like, you'll think that you're the only one who wants to change the country, and then you get into a room of people who are thinking at the same level, sometimes even higher, and you're like, you thought about that? Like, that's a great idea. So yeah, it's just a room of like-minded people, and we all want to change the world. We all see what's happening with our country. Instead of just moping and like complaining, we actually want to come up with solutions. So that's just what, in a synopsis of how that process went.
Oh wow, that is very powerful. We do need game changers. Especially like in our country and the whole situation. I mean, corruption is not a thing that we don't know about and everything like that. So it's a great initiative to actually get people who are like-minded to come closer. I like the idea of community. And I like building teams. I like working in teams because I think one mind is better than, more than one is better than having one mind think about or try and solve problems.
Definitely.
And the togetherness makes any challenge achievable and reachable. That's interesting. And then after the whole application process, being that top 100 graduate for DHL, what would you say was the highlight from that whole thing?
Highlight, my goodness, there's so
was
many.
The whole thing was just
everything was incredible. Like I was saying, you're in a space with very like-minded people. So even activities you're given, let's say maybe the representatives of how train give you like an activity to like brainstorm and stuff, and you guys are like there. You see the leader in the group. You see it's
you can identify.
It was really good. But I think personally, what I would say my highlight was, I would say it's the relationships that I actually made from that particular process, because I made really great friends who actually happened to also have the same belief as me. So even when we were there, it was like, God. And that for me, I don't take for granted, because it's very rare to meet people whereby you actually click with them. Not only like academically, because we're all smart, but like academically, emotionally, spiritually. So right now I have so many incredible friends all over the country, might I add, just everywhere.
Like you're connected.
So I think that was my highlight. Like, I love relationships. Like, relationships are so important.
That is great. But they say your network is your net worth. So yours probably like tripled. Probably one of the wealthiest people that I know, based off your connections that you made from that experience. From what I'm getting from you, that DHL top 100 graduate is worth all the work that it takes to get in. To put in your applications, to get accepted, and to type these things, the motivations and stuff like that.
Definitely.
And I think it also gives you like some aspect of self-introspection, because now you need to look within yourself and find your strong points and your weak points, and try and make that work, and try and put that into a motivational letter to say that this is who I am, this is what I stand for, this is what I believe in, and this is what I bring to the table.
And being intentional, because a lot of people were like, I saw all those questions and I just gave up, you know? And I'm like, it takes a certain kind of character to not want to give up. Like, if you know what you're going for and you're confident in what has been set out that has your name, for example, on it, like, you won't just give up.
That's true.
Because it just broke my heart seeing people just give up in the middle. And then they see us having fun when we're there, then it's like, I should have. Could have, would have, should have. Just do it.
It doesn't put the bread on the table, unfortunately. What I like about this whole thing with the GradStar, you earlier on you mentioned that never ever give up, and then you said that your first application, and you put in all the work, you got denied, and then you went back. For me, that is practically living and making your actions match what you stand for.
Definitely.
So that is something that I really admire from your side, that you're not just saying to people and to the listeners, don't give up, and then on the other side,
I'm giving up.
I mean, like, yo, so many questions, and I filled these in, I didn't make it, so now I'm giving up. No. I think that is like showing that you have a heart of steel, and you know him that if something's meant for you, you
go for it.
You go for it.
Yeah.
And then being an overachiever as you are, like, you know, someone who knows what they're doing. What study tips would you give to like people who are still studying, people who are still in varsity, like myself? What study tips or study advice do you have? Maybe I should get my notepad somewhere.
Study tips. Oh, but okay. I don't want to have like a generalized answer. I really want to speak to what I've actually experienced, because I would say, yeah, at this time do this, and here's the tip. But that's not how I went through everything.
Yeah.
Right. So I'd say the first thing is to have like a really good support system. Right. That is something that really, really comes in handy. Because when you're in this space alone, like sometimes you need to motivate yourself. You can't always be calling your mom or whatever. So you need to have like a really good support system around you, that even when you fail or something happens, like you don't just like feel like the world is ending and peer pressure, people are doing this, people are graduating, I should be, support system is very important. And that could manifest either through your family. For some people like myself, it's through my faith, and okay, I will spend time with God and listen, God says this about me, so
that's it,
I'm gonna try again, and I'm gonna do this. So I'd say support system is very important. And then secondly, asking, it's not a study tip for like when you're alone, but like when you're in the lecture room, some people are really scared to ask. Like there's a level of, I don't want to say humbleness, but like for lack of a better word, you must humble yourself and say, you know what, I need to ask. Like ask people around me in class, ask my lecturers. Like my lecturers know that if I don't understand something, like I will ask. They'll be like, but Joy, you're so smart. And I'm like, I'm not smart enough. These people know more than me. So if I have to take time out and actually ask, I'm gonna ask and ask for more resources and like bombard me because I want to know. Because you can tell someone that study this way, but then sometimes you just don't know. And you need to be able to swallow your pride. If you have a classmate who's good at something, like ask, how do you do it? Please help me. That kind of thing. And then I think the last one that I would say is to be proactive and be intentional, right? Being proactive, for me, I would never be that student who would come to class and say, okay, ma'am, what do you have in mind? Like, what do you have in store for me? I would always make sure that before class, like I've read through the study guide. I think other of us have study guides. They should, right? Yeah.
Maybe they don't call it study guide, but probably.
But there's a program of what is going to be taught throughout the year.
Yes. Those things,
So I would go through those like before class, read the readings, make sure I come into class with questions, right? So I'm coming to class with questions, but also being receptive, because I don't want to just come. I feel like I don't want to be an empty canvas just walk into class. I want to come and say, sir, I read up on this thing. I don't understand. How does it incorporate with this town planning, whatever. And you actually realize, you actually learn more that way. And something else, keep up to date with what's happening in the world. I think young people don't like watching the news. We don't like keeping up to date with what's happening. And you see those things manifest in the craziest ways in your academic life. Like if there's something happening in the environmental, something in the world, or COP20, whatever's happening, because you're the only person who would have spent time reading those things. Maybe you're writing a paper, there's a theory, then you're like, oh, this links very well with this thing of maybe animal monitoring or something. Like it
helps.
Yes, just know more. Be curious. I'm a very curious person. Like I don't like to be ignorant. Like I love knowing stuff, and it always helps me. And I'm like, oh, cool. I'm gonna put this in my paper. And it's really helped me.
That's a handful. That's a lot. I probably don't do most of those things, which is a life learning moment for me. I think I need to start incorporating that support system, which is very good, very valuable. Ask questions, be humble enough to ask questions. Be proactive.
Yes.
And always be curious.
Yes.
I love that. One of my lectures actually this past week was like, so they have this system on, ClickUp, right?
Yes.
So apparently he went on ClickUp and it showed how many of us in the class open the study guide. 0. How
Really?
many?
0?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've opened it, but a while back. But he was showing how many of us in the class interact with the content, not necessarily the lecture slides. I think everyone just prints the lecture slides, but like he sometimes puts videos to watch before class, read this article and stuff like that, and then he indicated just how many of us or in the class actually and there was quite a few that did. So yeah, I think that's something that I want to start doing now. Hopefully I can get to that. I don't know.
Activity puts you ahead of the game, puts you ahead of the pack, because you come in prepared. You come in knowing that, okay, I did everything, I didn't understand this part. So when you go into the lecture room, you're only getting what you actually didn't understand, versus just starting from scratch. You're just like, they're like, hey, what's happening? 3 hours later in the lecture room, and you're like, yo, I don't know what this guy is saying.
I think, but I feel like most students will probably say like, but where do you find the time? Because I'm studying this module, I'm studying this module, I'm studying this module. But I guess it's all about managing your time correctly. Even like reading, just skim reading for 10 minutes, just once off, you have an idea, like the bigger picture, and then you can go into class like that. So
definitely,
I guess you can find your way around it. All right, I love that. I like those tips. I hope you guys wrote them down, because you'll thank us later. Well, you'll thank her later when you graduate. You can thank me for bringing her to the show. And before we get to the Would You Rather questions, for me, I have a very important question. That's like the most important question for the show. Is what does grounded and fearless mean to you?
Okay, I'm gonna break it up. Grounded, fearless. So when I think grounded, because I'm obviously someone who's very spiritually inclined, fully believe in God. So when I think grounded, I think of understanding that God is the rock of my salvation, right?
Yeah.
When you understand being rooted in like rock, you know that it's solid foundation. So that means being grounded. So that's where I get my identity from. What I've seen from a lot of experiences in varsity is people are trying to figure themselves out, you know, and sometimes while you're figuring yourself out and your identity is a bit shaky, you don't know who you actually are, you end up falling prey to all these other things. You end up doing things that you're not, but this is not me, I don't like doing this. Then you move here, then you feel like you don't have direction, and that can be very discouraging. So for me, knowing that my foundation, like my solid rock, is in my salvation and my faith, that's what keeps me grounded, and that actually gives me direction for every single thing that I do. So that's what grounded, that part of it, that's what it means to me. And to be fearless, I'm thinking of another scripture now.
Go for it.
But just knowing that I've not been given a spirit of fear, but a spirit of sound mind and might, you know. And fearless means dominating, like going to these spaces that might look scary, but giving it your best. I take DHL for example. Like at first value, it's scary. Like I'm gonna be competing with people from UCT, Free State, you know, the top students, and you end up playing small because you're like, you're fun, I'm not gonna do it. But then you put that fear aside, and then you actually make it. So I think that fearlessness comes from just being confident, right? Being confident, going for what you want, and understanding that fear might, that fear at face value, it's scary, right? But when you actually in the situation, you realize that, I almost lost out on an opportunity because of how this thing looks, like the perception of it. So go for what you want. Don't hold back. You know, even if you fail, it's okay. There's a lesson in that too. And in everything you do, be grounded and be fearless. But also with that, there's a foundation. Like, what are you grounding yourself to? And what is giving you that confidence to not actually have fear?
Oh. I like that. I think every time a guest comes in, they answer that question, I'm always like, wow. What a wow. Yeah, and I like when you said when you're grounded, you can then have direction, which is it's quite like when you think about it. I mean, if you are moving with the wind, it's hard to assess your sense of direction.
Yes.
But if you have like that, whatever grounds you, in your case, your faith, and you have your identity in that, and then you can easily find a way to like move from here to the next stage, so you can see that this is what I'm doing instead of just moving around and powerful
or
stuff.
moving and then wanting to be stable. I think that's what we tend to do as young people. You want to go with the flow and then find stability as you go.
Yeah.
But find the stability, be grounded first, and then move.
And then move forward. Yeah. Wow. What a wow. Powerful. Well, Joy, dearest beautiful people, we've come to the part of the show where we get to see and get to try and figure out what this person next to me actually really thinks. I think I always like calling this part personality reveal 101.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting to see the options that people take. Yeah, so basically I'm going to ask you 3 would you rather questions, and then basically choose whichever option you resonate best with. Or
do I have to explain why, or it's just here's my answer, do with it whatever you want to do?
I feel like in most cases you feel the need to explain why.
Yeah, I already have a feeling that I'm gonna have to explain.
Yeah, I've never had someone just say this one and keep it like that. It's always that, well, I'm choosing this because
yeah. But that makes sense.
Because some of them are just like, now why would you choose that?
I want to know why you would choose that.
Yeah. So the first one, I actually don't know what you'll choose, but I think I have an idea. The first one is, would you chronically be underdressed or chronically overdressed?
Under or over? There's no in between.
No. So it's either, I don't know, you're going to pick up your kid at school, you are overdressed, or you go into a very fancy party and you are extremely underdressed. So it's
I think
those two extremes.
I can decide. I think I would rather be chronically overdressed. Yeah, like there's I don't know, one lady I was speaking to was telling us how people are able to build a perception of you within the first, I think, 8 seconds of seeing you.
Yeah.
So if you catch me underdressed and I don't look my best, like already in your mind you formulated ideas. Not that I necessarily like care about what you think about me, but also my perception of self and how I present myself to the world is very important. I want to make a good impression. So if I look really good and I'm overdressed, like I'm going to my sibling's party or whatever, but I look like I'm going to meet the president, like I'm fine. Okay with that.
You can live with that. Yeah. I thought you'd answer. I thought you'd choose that one. I mean, I'll also choose that one. But I feel like in most cases I'm always underdressed. I don't know.
It's pressure, the thing. Yeah, it's always look good.
I think I need like a wardrobe change. No, what do you call those people who choose outfits for you?
Yeah, they have a name. They actually have a job where they actually shop. Personal shopper, I think.
I don't know. I need one of those where
they
actually
have money, ne?
Where they actually pick outfits for you and do that.
Million.
Yeah. Oh, you think I have money? Yeah, I know.
Like a personal shopper.
No, not. I think it would be nice to have, because I just wake up and just rest as if I'm going to play a game of rugby.
Be comfortable.
Yeah, I think I choose comfortability more than anything.
Yeah.
So okay. So now the second question is: would you rather have universal respect or unlimited power?
I didn't have to think about that one, eh? I think universal respect. I really think so. I say that because
this year
I've seen power has the potential to corrupt, right? Like you never know what power is going to do to you, and I know that I'm most likely not going to go off the rails and say I'm powerful, whatever, but I think respect for me would be more valuable because I really respect people a lot, so that for me makes a little bit more sense. Power, not necessarily, because I'm not really power hungry. I don't have an ego. Well, I do, but like not that pompous level. Like I just so I think if I had a really big ego and I really had this thing of like wanting validation from people or always wanting to show people that I'm the biggest person in the room, maybe then I'd lean more towards the power element of it. But I'm really for the people, man. Like, I love people. Like, I don't need to have power. If I'm helping people and I'm doing what I need to do and I'm helping my community and I respect people that respect me back, then I'm okay with that. And universal. God, everyone respects me.
Every encounter you have.
And if people are respecting, there's a reason why they respect you.
Yeah.
Not just for the sake of it. There's something that you're doing that garners people's respect towards you. So I think I'd rather have that. Because some people are powerful, but do you really respect them?
No, I don't think so.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my answer.
That's a good answer.
What would you choose? Power. No, I'm joking.
I mean, power is nice.
Yeah, no, it is.
But I think, like, if you think about it, the respect is more from other people. It's more about the other people, and then power is like you. So it's like
that's good.
And power is basically, it's an individual thing, and then you need to make people aware of the power you have. And then obviously now there comes element of fear and all of those things. So
that's a good perspective.
I'll probably take universal respect. I'll probably take that on. Alright, yeah, that's my answer. Last question. Would you rather have Beyonce's talent or Jay-Z's business acumen?
Yeah, not my favorite people, but anyway.
Let's just say, would you rather be able to sing?
Yeah, would I be talented or
be a very great businesswoman?
I think being a great businesswoman, just being more business orientated. Because one thing about me, I want to help people, but then I don't like being too much in the spotlight. I don't know. Like, I want to be able to see, like, helping behind the scenes. Like, that's what I prefer. So the talent one is a little bit, I know it's going to eventually propel me to that platform, to be out there.
Yeah.
And I have to sing. People will be like, oh, Joy, sing for us at a like, just leave me alone. Like, no.
The spotlight is yours.
No. So I think business, also because I'm a very like practical, technical thinker, like I'm very pragmatic. I want things to make sense. Like that would be a space where I think it would make sense for me. Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I think that's a tough one for me.
Because you're so talented. Goodness.
Not even. What do you mean I'm so talented?
How don't you like play sports and then now you're podcasting? I don't know if you can do this.
I guess so, but I think the singing. So like I always have this thing of like if genies were real, and then like what do you want, right? For me, it's like to have like a live performance in front of a lot of people and just sing one song. It doesn't really matter what song it is. Just get there and
with all those eyes on you.
Yeah, that's like a dream. I mean, it's not really attainable, but
Says who? You'd be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I think God gave me a lot of talents, and I don't think singing is one of them. I mean, I knew I couldn't sing when I didn't make the primary school choir, and everyone makes the primary school choir. So, but I would probably go with the business acumen one. I think I'm very entrepreneurial minded, and I love business in general. So I'll probably go with that one. Talent I'd like to have, but I think
talent is not limited to singing, right?
Yeah, that is true.
So it's like a wide scope.
Yeah.
Dancing, I guess. Painting, probably you're pushing Picasso level, so.
Fair enough. But I don't know, I think it might sound wrong, but I think I would like the business one because there's an element of, the grind and working and achieving things. Obviously, talented people also work, but I mean, talented, like you can be talented and I can work hard, but the amount of effort we put in, you can just put 10% and still smoke me at the end of the day.
I hear you.
So, yeah, I would go. Yeah, I think I like the grind. Not the toxic side of it, but just the platonic nice level, balanced grinding.
Working hard, genuinely.
Yeah,
putting in the work.
Putting in the work,
and it's rewarding, man.
It is. To look back and think, wow, I didn't give up, and this is where I am. This is where I was. That is kind of nice. So I'll take the business acumen, man.
Okay.
Yeah, business is very interesting. Very interesting.
So we're on the same page, okay?
Yeah, it looks like most of the answers would
actually
lean more on the same side.
Great minds are thinking alike.
There's a connection. See. All right, Joy. We've come to the end of our episode. It was such a great honor to have you on the show. I really enjoyed myself, and I'm pretty sure the listeners enjoyed listening to you. Some great words of wisdom and nuggets of wisdom. I think when I'm done editing this, I need to sit down with a notepad and a pen and just take as much as I can and actually try and apply that into my life. And in closing, do you have any last words for our listeners as you say bye?
Thanks for tuning in to the channel, and don't give up, guys. Keep working hard. You might not see the results of what you're doing, but eventually you will. And thanks for having me, Nnaishi. It was very nice having a conversation with you.
Pleasure is all ours, as I like saying. Here at Grandeur and Fearless, we are a team. Even though you guys see me, but there's a team behind everything that happens here. So yeah, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
I don't know if we should cheers.
Cheers!